Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope you are doing well. I wanted to share with you something I think is extremely important for a student of knowledge. And I'm specifically talking about a student of knowledge who is like actively engaged in the talabul ilm, either a full-time student who has no other occupation, is just like at a boarding school full-time, or someone who is spending hours, multiple hours, let's say, 10 hours a week studying the knowledge of deen. These are like full-time or serious students of knowledge. I wanted to share with you the importance of ibadah in such a person's life. It is definitely understood that a student of knowledge has to really pursue ilm. They have to like make it a goal in their life that they are going to spend most of their time seeking the knowledge of Islam and be like, if you're a full-time student, let's say 90% of your time, or let's say 80% of your time is spent on ilm itself. The other 20%, like doing your daily stuff. I'm not counting sleeping, but let's say, utilizing the restroom, eating, relaxing, exercising. That's just like 20%. The rest of your waking hours is just all your lessons, your takrar, revision, your study groups, your preparations, all of that, right? So most of your time should be spent in seeking knowledge. A mistake some students make, and this is actually rare, where some people, what they do is they incorporate too much ibadah into their schedule. So let's say someone is a full-time student, they have like 8 hours of classes every single day, 2 hours of mandatory study, and let's say like 3 hours of like downtime. They will utilize all of their extra time in reading Quran, doing Adhkar, reading different wadha'if books, and it burns them out. Then they don't have energy to prepare the lesson, to revise the lesson, and all of those things. That's a huge mistake. Why? Because there will come a time, inshallah, where you will be able to do ibadah. You'll be able to do all that ibadah that you want to do. But you will miss out that opportunity of learning from mashayikh, from great scholars who have dedicated their lives to teaching students. You'll miss that opportunity. So you don't want to do that. On the other side of the spectrum, you have students who do no extra ibadah. And that could be a danger. It's not necessarily a danger, it could be a danger. And I'm going to explain to you why. And then you have the students kind of in the middle who incorporate a little bit extra ibadah, and I think that's like the sweet spot. Now, why could that other group be a danger? I recommend for all students of knowledge, and all of those who are like full-time students and those who aren't, everyone alike, to read at least the introduction to the beginning of guidance by Imam al-Ghazali, or Bidayatul Hidayah. If you know Arabic, all the better, read it in Arabic. If you don't, there's an English translation, a really good one by, I believe, White Thread Press. In that introduction, Imam al-Ghazali, he gauges and he tells you to do this test. He gauges how you can tell a student has ikhlas or not. He says, if you have, and he doesn't say that if you're not doing ibadah, you don't have ikhlas. And if you are doing ibadah, you have ikhlas. He says that's not the scenario. He says, firstly, you should be seeking the knowledge of deen for the sake of Allah. What should a person's intention be by seeking Islamic knowledge? I want to know Allah, who is my creator. I want to know what Allah wants from me. I want to gain this knowledge so I can have the proper mindset as a Muslim. I want to understand the words of Allah, the words of His Messenger, and I want to understand the ahkam of deen. I want to understand the sharia so I can apply it to myself and benefit and correct my faults, and so that I may help humanity. That's a good intention for seeking the knowledge of deen. So based off of this intention, he says your actions should actually reflect that. How does it reflect that? If you really wanted to benefit yourself, if you really wanted to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through this knowledge, you would actually have a yearning for ibadah. You would want to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because you love Allah, and that's why you're seeking the knowledge. So he says the key to see if you have ikhlas or not is not the ibadah necessarily, it's the yearning for the ibadah. You have to yearn for it. Now, what does this practically mean? It means that you should want to do ibadah. You should have this desire that if I wasn't studying right now, if I wasn't dedicating all of my time to get, this knowledge of deen, I would be doing tahajjud, I would be doing qira'ah of Quran, I would be doing adhkar, I would be doing sadaq, I would be fasting, I would be doing all of these things. And I really want to do them, but I can't because I'm a student of knowledge. I need my sleep, I need my body to be strong. I need to dedicate all of my time towards these books. But man, I really wish I could do it. That's what he says. If you have that yearning, you have ikhlas. On the flip side, if you are a student of knowledge, and he says all of this in that introduction, and when it comes to extra ibadah in your mind, you're like, no, but I'm a talib al-ilm, I don't have time for that. He says, be real with yourself. Look inside and see how you actually feel towards that ibadah. Would you really pursue that ibadah? Do you really want to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like that? Or you're just telling yourself like that? Why are you then so eager to learn the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If you don't have that, burning desire to worship Allah, why are you learning? Because some people really like learning the deen, but they don't like ibadah. So he says there's a hidden disease there. What's that hidden disease? Maybe they're learning to debate. Maybe they're learning for prestige. Maybe they're learning for, to get that position. Because in some societies, the ulama are highly looked up to. So he says, if you have the desire for ibadah, that is a sign of ikhlas. So as a student of knowledge, we have to get that yearning. How do we get that yearning for ibadah? Number one, we ask ourselves these questions. Why am I studying the deen? And try to figure out what it is that is driving you. And if it's other than, be real with yourself, if it's other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, try your best to fix it. Try your best to tell you. And how do you fix it? You remind yourself that if I'm not doing it for Allah, it's useless. I'm going to be punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm going to be humiliated by Allah in the dunya and the akhirah. So I need to fix this. So you ponder over these things. So that's one thing you ask yourself, why am I doing it? Number two, you tell yourself it's of no benefit at all if it's not for Allah. So you think of these kind of things, and it will motivate you to gain that ikhlas and sincerity. Now, should we be doing a lot of ibadah? And as I've mentioned before, there is a sweet spot. You should be, as a full-time student, or even part-time student, you should dedicate a portion of your day towards Nafl ibadah, but not too much. If you do too much and you exhaust yourself, you're actually causing harm to your journey in your academic journey. So how much should you do? So I'm going to give you like a basic rundown of what you can do as a student of knowledge. The first and foremost thing is good intention. Our teacher used to tell us, before you attend every durus, every lesson that you have to attend on a daily basis, you renew your intention. Always do that. Don't assume you have a good intention. Renew that intention and verbalize it in your mind. As you're walking towards a class, say, Ya Allah, I want to know you. I want to learn your religion. I want to know what you said, what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. I want to know how I can get close to you. I want to love you, Ya Allah. Bless me with your love, Ya Allah. Bless me with your ma'arifah, Ya Allah. I want to benefit myself as well as humanity on a daily basis before your classes. So that's the first thing. The second thing, and this is before all a'mal, the second thing, avoid sin. Avoid sin mastata'at, as much as you can. Now, human beings naturally do sins by mistake. As Rasulullah said, Kullu bani Adam khata. Every human makes a lot of mistakes. Wa khairul khata'in at-tawwabun. And the best of those who make mistakes are those who do tawbah. So you're going to make mistakes. You're human. You're not infallible. The Anbiya alayhimus salam are sinless. However, what I'm talking about is intentionally doing sin. This is extremely harmful to us. because it takes us away from our purpose, and that purpose is the pleasure of Allah. Intentionally harming. For instance, you're a student of knowledge, and then you get access to watch this movie. Someone sends you a movie on your phone. Now this movie obviously has haram elements, music, all this other stuff. When you watch that, it's going to create a distance between you and Allah Ta'ala. It's going to cause you to have a layer of ghafla and negligence instead of the dhikr of Allah. A student of knowledge doing ghiba, speaking bad about their classmates, speaking bad about their asatida. A student of knowledge having profanity in their language. A student of knowledge not performing salah. Subhanallah. So staying away from haram, absolutely essential. In fact, if you just did number 1 and 2, having a good niyyah daily, and staying away from haram, and then engrossing yourself in ilm, you're successful. That's all. However, what I'm saying is you should incorporate ibadah on top of that. Now, what kind of ibadah that can you do? Firstly, to get that yearning for ibadah, that burning desire that, if I was free, I would love to do ibadah. We need to have a baseline of ibadah that we do on a daily basis to create that fire within us. Number 1, try to wake up about 15 minutes before Fajr sets in. Quick wudu, utilize the restroom, pray 2 rak'ahs tahajjud, and a 5-minute dua. That is difficult for some, but try your best. If you miss a day, do it the next day. Perform all of your fard salah and do all of the sunnah akkadah, and try to incorporate the ghayr akkadah as well. The ghayr akkadah, 4 rak'ahs before Isha, 4 rak'ahs before Salatul Asr. And do the mu'akkadas. Don't miss out the sunnah mu'akkadas as a student of knowledge unless there's an emergency. Try to treat it as your fara'id. The sunnah mu'akkada should not be missed. But the ghayr mu'akkada, try to incorporate those two. So that's the second thing. On top of that, regarding salah, so I said tahajjud, try to do salatul duha or ishraq. What is this salah? 2 rak'ahs before your classes start, when the sun has risen and it's starting to get very bright. Not when it's right after Fajr, that's a makruh time period. After that period, when the sun is starting to get strong in its rays, you can pray now, just 2 rak'ahs. Then after Salatul Maghrib, if you're free at that time, 2 rak'ahs. After your 2 rak'ahs of Sunnah Mu'akkada of Maghrib. So you got the 3 rak'ahs of Fard Maghrib, 2 Sunnah Mu'akkada, then you incorporate another 2 if you can. Regarding Quran, after Fajr is an excellent time for Quran. Try to do whatever amount that you are capable of doing every day, stick to that. If it's 5 minutes, 5 minutes. If it's 15, 15. If you're a Hafiz al-Quran, aim for at least a juz. At least a juz. And if you can do, ideally, if you can get up to like 20 minutes or 30 minutes, that's really good. In terms of Adhkar, after Fajr, after Asr, 100 times Astaghfirullah, 100 times Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, 100 times La ilaha illallah. These are like common things. Our teachers used to tell us to do these Adhkar, so we should try to do that. And that's all. That's all. If you have the strength and you know that you're not going to be weakened from your studies and you're not going to have like brain fog, fasting Mondays and Thursdays. But if you get brain fog, if you feel lethargic, don't fast if you're a student of knowledge. Because your primary thing, seeking knowledge is ibadah. So if this other ibadah is going to detract you from it, then that's nafl, that can wait. And you'll do that later, inshallah. So doing that, inshallah, on a continual basis is going to create that yearning, that desire for ibadah. And staying away from sin, accompanied with that, is going to create an even stronger yearning and desire for more ibadah. So when you graduate, inshallah, you will be an alim, a scholar, because you use your time wisely, you studied, and then you'll have a yearning for ibadah as well. So you're not just going to be an alim, a scholar, you're going to be an amil, a practitioner of that as well. And that's what we need. We need to become scholars who are practitioners of that knowledge. Not just people who have knowledge, but people who have knowledge and practice. So this is a method to doing that, and this is what I wanted to share, the importance of this. So many students neglect this and put it on the back burner. They say, I'm just going to do ibadah later. But that might be a bad thing if you don't have that yearning. If you do have a yearning and you look inside yourself and you're like, well, I really want to do ibadah, but I can't right now, then inshallah, yeah, that's great. But if you don't even have that, then that's a danger. Imam al-Ghazali says that's a sign of no ikhlas. So we seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's protection from the lack of ikhlas. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us tawfiq to do more ibadah as a student of knowledge, but give us that tawfiq to be in equilibrium, do enough ibadah that it creates that yearning and desire for more, and use all of our extra time for the acquisition of beneficial knowledge and practice. وصلى الله تبارك وتعالى على خير خلق محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.